Hello, welcome to Healing Visionaries Online Summit. I'm Colleen O'Connor, your host. Today we have with us Michelle Martin, who is a full-time shaman. A little bit of background about Michelle. She was a former international sales director and has always been a shaman, much like a chameleon, balancing both worlds and walking with one foot in the other world. She now dedicates her life full-time to her passion as an experienced shaman brought up in both South Africa and Ireland, following a lifelong shamanic practice. She is eclectic in her practices and receives direct spirit teachings. Both sides of her family were involved with magic or spiritual healing. Outside of shamanism, she worked with many other healing modalities, including theta healing, crystal healing, body language, light language, the balance procedure. She's also an Shui Reiki master, teacher, angelic Reiki master, advanced NLP therapist, hypnotherapist, past life regressionist, herbalist with her own range of organic skin products, a Kambo practitioner, and member of the International Association of Kambo Practitioners. She's further initiated in Mune Kai rites, Fey magic, Egyptian magic, Haitian voodoo, and works with sacred fireways, which can be hugely transformative. Michelle also teaches shamanic workshops and cacao, wayasu, rape, and other plant ceremonies, and also works with people on a one-to-one basis, either at her home, theirs, or remotely on video chat. She attended the world-famous Arthur Findlay College and became further interested in mental and physical mediumship, trance and transfiguration, and experimented a lot with them, as well as Ouija board and orbs to see if there was any intelligence with them, and discovered there definitely was. Michelle participated in many firewalks and sweat lodges, mostly Lakota and Ipi, for purification ceremonies. Shamanism is her full-time way of life, and she makes native ceremonial crafts. She's now a professional certified firewalking instructor, member of the Global Firewalking Association. She's passionate about working with the mind, body, and spirit, bringing them into balance and empowering people to become better and more whole versions of themselves. So, yeah. Welcome, Michelle Martin. It's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Colleen. I'm really excited about this. You know, to just spread this message and to get some accurate information out there is hugely important.
Absolutely. Well, if you can get us started off with some background of shamanism, you know, where did it originate? How is it different from general healing arts?
Okay, yeah. So I'll just explain for everybody, because everybody understands the word shamanism now. You know, I was saying I started this group 11 years ago, and I've always called myself a shaman, and people didn't understand what I was. And for the first 3 years, the group only got 3,500 people. In the last 8 years, it's mushroomed up to 67,000, which shows the increase in the interest in shamanism.
Wow.
And it's not necessarily, and it's certainly true in the cases that I've seen, that everyone is a shaman, but everybody has this call, you know, to self-empowerment, wanting to heal themselves. These aren't really true shaman ways, but it's a method to take you to that. So if we start with shamanism, shamanism is a particular type of trance state work. And so the shaman goes into this particular trance, and his spirits work through him, or her spirits work through him. And in fact, actually the first shamans recorded were actually females, and they were called the Yudigan, so from the Mongolian area. And so that's what shamanism really is. And if you're not practicing that particular type of trance state, then truly you're not working as a shaman in its strict definition. However, shamanism, it originated 15,000 years ago in the Mongolian regions, and through cultural contacts, you know, and traveling, it became diverse and started to move out. So I just want to break that down a little bit more, you know, the types of shamanism out there. So really, there's traditional shamanism, spoke about its origins. And you can see that me as a shaman, I don't have a fancy name. I don't dress particular regalia. For me, a lot of it's spiritual dressing, unless you're a traditional shaman, because then your garment and your regalia held power. You know, bit like physical mediumship, are tools with whole power, with imbued energies. So there's a traditional shamanism. Outside of shamanism, there's a much more commonly known practice called core shamanism. Core shamanism came from Michael Harner. He was an anthropologist that sort of gathered core techniques from people. Now, there's two different types of core techniques. Traditional shamans have core techniques in so much they go into ceremony, they commune with their spirits, they use certain objects of ritualistic behaviors, you know, we make offerings, different things. Core shamanic practices is Harnerism, shamanism, as we call it. And this is a particular type of method where people will drop down into a hole in the ground and they visit one of the worlds, the upper, middle, or lower world, where they'll commune with spirit guides, power animals, for bringing about information to help with healing here. And then we have animism. Animism is a much more widely practiced. Animism is our belief in the spirit of the sky, the stones, the water, you know, that these are sentient beings, very wise. And so every practice has animism in it at some level. And so a lot of people get confused between the blurred lines of what shamanism is. If they think they're practicing animism, they think it's shamanism. And if they think they're practicing core shamanism, because that's what's more easily accessible to people, it's very hard for people to get traditional shamans and lineage work and to work in that right. So core shamanism facilitated that gap. It made it much more accessible to people. And that's where a lot of people come from. But if you look around the world and you start to look at some different tribes, you know, I'm just have some notes on the side, because I was saying to you, Colleen, I could speak for days on shamanism. It's my life, and I love to educate people as well, you know, and I just give people real information. It's so hard to find real information amongst everything that's out there. But like the Yoruba tribe people would go down, you know, the roots of a tree. The Arctic people would dive down, you know, into the ice. The Amazonian rainforest shamans would travel down into the Amazon. And then you have like the Hopi Indians that would go down on a hole in the ground. So, you know, there was very core type of practices that people did around the world for accessing the spirit world. And so that's really the basis for shamanism. But what we have and what we can use, we have certain tools. So here's a drum that I made. This is my shaman drum.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. Okay.
In the medicine wheel way. So a lot of shamans make their own tools.
What is your animal on the cover? Your creature?
And I made this from a vision. This was quite a magical drum. You can see there's bumps on the outside. So on each corner, there's something sacred that I've gathered from different places.
Oh.
It's made with skin. This is a henna design that I put on. A lot of people paint. I like the henna. But it was to represent a sort of a fae, a bat, a dragonfly. It was a more magical type of element. I had my bells and different stones and a compass on here, so I can always find my position, my directional point whenever I'm out.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, my drum
creature is beautifully designed, and I thought it was a combination of those that you said. It really does look magical.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a medicine racket I made. So not all shamans use drums. You know, the South American shaman medicine people, they don't use drums at all. They use something that's called like a chacapa. It's made with leaves and on the floor, falling in the spirits. It's very beautiful. But nearly all cultures use a rattle. Interesting of some. And I was explaining to you, you know, that I painted this on the wall up here, my medicine skull.
Wow.
So a lot of shamans create their own things. I make my own medicine bags, you know. So we journey to the spirit of the animals, we connect to them, and we use them continuously in ceremony. I have different drums for different ceremonies. I have different pipes that I smoke for different ceremonies, and they all hold the relative energy for those different deities or ceremonies that I work with. So
now let's just say somebody is starting out. They don't need to go buy a drum necessarily. They can even make their own rattle from a basic seeds or beans in a jar.
Container, yes, exactly. So a lot of shamans are very practical people. If you go into the jungles or you go into different places in Africa, these guys are very basic, these guys and girls, you know, and they're very practical. Yeah, you can get seeds, any kind of natural seed. You know, we try to use natural things because we're working with the natural spirits. So yeah, some corn seeds or rice, you know, in a container is perfectly fine. You don't have to go and buy a drum. maybe the drum doesn't work with you, but there's so many different drumming videos available on YouTube now, so you can get it for free. You know, have a look around and find something. So be practical. The same with smudging. A lot of people use smudging for cleaning the area, me too, but a lot of people think they have to work with white sage. That's a Native American way. And actually the white sage is so depleted now. I grow my own sage in the garden. So do people please think what you're doing. But you know, here in the UK, they would have used mugwort and lavender. Use your local smudging herbs. In South America, they use copal, and they use Palo Santo. So, you know, there's enough different local herbs out there. So don't go spending and ordering and things that you don't need to. Look at your local.
I love that. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
energy. You know, it's stronger for you. So I just wanted to cover some of those basics. So what I would say to people starting out, for me, one of the central things as a shaman is to have an altar. Now, I see a lot of altars. I don't like to expose mine. And I have an altar that's private and it's covered. It's only for when I work. And I cover the energies when I'm not working. But I have other altars that I will set up for different ceremonies. Now, the reason why we use an altar is it's a focal point, a concentrated focal point for your energies to come into. It also shows that we're respecting spirits that we work with and that we're stepping into a different way. When we approach this altar and we work with it, a lot of the gods like to receive offerings, and many traditions do that either through alcohol that you give them or food, and they take the energy. It's not that they drink and eat it, but they take the energy from the food. It's a huge sign of respect. So a lot of the Voodoo Loa work like this. A lot of the Mongolian on gods receive offerings. You know, in Buddhism, they leave a lot of food out. So I would say just have a little altar. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Now, I've seen some altars that I know that people have bought them for the beauty, and there's no power in the altar. You can just look at it. It's just assembled for aesthetics rather than work. You know, so just think about what you're doing and put your real intention in, because we are at all levels. And in shamanism, a lot of our work is to remove energy, to restore energy, to balance energy in all the different ways. But even when we're starting to think, we're creating an energetic process. So our first thing that we must do is we must have an intent. We're going to the spirit world to ask for help. And when we enter into any type of shamanic practice, we are going to the spirit world. In fact, actually any spirit work, we're doing that. And we've always done that from the beginning of time. People have always prayed, whether it's the Our Father or one of the other prayers. We go to the spirit world, we ask for help there to bring about change here. Okay, so that's the big understanding. We are going to the spirit world to ask for change here. So we also go in humbly and with respect, and also give gratitude. You know, that's very important. Don't always ask, sometimes say thank you. So I was at a nice sacred fire again the other night, and I like to work with them. And one of the first offerings I always do to the fire is I say thank you to Grandfather Fire. You know, thank you for the blessings in my life. And then I will go on with other offerings and maybe ask. So intention's important. Why are we going to the spirit world? What are we trying to achieve? Be clear with the spirits. And I can't emphasize that enough, because I know many people that have been on this path a long time. And often when I start to speak to them, I realize that they're not clear in what they want. And then when they go to the spirit world, they're not clear and they get mixed results.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I mean, a major difference between any kind of energy or other healing arts, there may be spirits helping, but this is directly communicating and traveling to the other side through the veil. And so that clarity. Yeah.
And actually taking that a stage further, you know, there's destiny and fate, of course, and people will say, oh, well, my life's fated. Well, to tell you the truth, if you sit in your room and you eat 20 times a day, you are fated to be obese with a never moving. Okay. But if we exert free will into that fate and we say, okay, well, actually, I'm going to go out and I'm going to exercise, I'm going to do different things, I'm going to meet people, our free will can change that fate and destiny. Now, that's important to realize that in all of your spirit work. I gave a very simple example there, but expand on that and think, okay, a lot of people think that I don't have to work in my shamanic practice or my shaman work. You know, I'm gifted, they call them. I don't like this, you're not gifted. You know, we have an ability. But if you want to get good, get out and practice. There's too many textbooks. There's too many textbook philosophizers. You know, get out there, practice, 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 because how the hell do you know if your practice works or not? So for me, before we started this interview, I already created my sacred space. I'm setting a set of intentions that I want. I'm creating a space to change the vibration. That is my practice. I know that it works because I've done it for years. And I see the results that I've got in the beginning when I did and when I didn't. But without practice and without experience, how would I know?
Right.
So people live through other people's experiences in books, in videos. You have to come out and use your energy and get your energy vibrating with your guides. And it may be that you want to work with Sitting Bull, or you want to work with a Buddha, or you want to work with somebody else. But it doesn't quite work like that. It's a two-way relationship. It's a resonance. You have to develop these relationships, and you have to work with your guides over time. You can only get that through practice. So again, go out and practice. So I'm hammering some points home because I just want people to realize, what are the core seeds of developing in any spiritual path that you take? Is setting your intentions, developing your relationships, and practicing.
I just want to interject with a question, if I can, about when you're meeting the guides. I think a lot of people who are just starting out or, trying to deepen their practice, I remember going through this also, you're never sure who you're meeting. Like receiving their name or seeing a face often didn't come for a long, long time. Or it was surprising and you second guess yourself, like an elf or a squirrel or something. You really, when you're wanting Buddha or a black elk or any, some dream guru, and a silly something else shows up, or what you think is silly.
Yeah.
But actually that is real, and they have strong power too.
Yeah. So actually one of the exercises that I'm going to use at the end for you is a slight demonstration of how we can also, when we go past that, how we can get spirits to show us really what they're like, or ask them to show us in a way that's more understandable to us. So my belief and my understanding from what I've seen, because I've seen a lot of shape-shifting energies changing, that initially they come to us in the form that is most presentable to us and that resonates with us. But actually there's a huge intelligence and magic behind. If a squirrel comes and you look, what the squirrel is actually bringing me, and you need to read a whole bunch of references and talk to the squirrel and develop. He's bringing you something that you either need to bring into balance or bring into your life, or that you've got too much of and he's showing you that something's out of balance. There's real power in this. Some tribes will believe that you can't survive childhood without having a power animal. And we see different things. So in Africa, it's common to see animals. In South America and Native American traditions, maybe all over the world, but maybe in some other parts in the Buddhist, they will see different types of gods, maybe with many arms, because that is what their culture and their energies have created. So I find with people, when they're starting with all spiritualities, they usually start seeing colors first, regardless of what paths you come in. That seems to morph into them. They're seeing images and they think, is it my imagination or isn't it? And I always say at that point, just accept it. Say it's my imagination, because a lot of it is going to be that in the beginning. Free up an energetic space and just carry on with it, because over time discernment will show you. And for me, when something comes straight on like this, it's usually my imagination. If it's coming slightly off center for me, I realize that I'm in a different zone. I can feel it now. I'm experienced. I'm in a different way. I'm working with spirit.
Wow, that's so helpful.
Yeah. And so, spirits change, how they show us themselves over time. I have never known any of my guides' names, yet I capture phenomenal stuff, as I've shared with you, in videos and different stills. Because I'm authentic, I'm real, I don't need a spiritual dressing. I'm not saying to these beings, what's your name, which a lot of people do. They get caught up on this. Some of these beings may not have touched Earth. A name isn't right. It's an energetic resonance we're working with. Now, what you have to be careful is, and I know from working with a lot of cases over the years, that sometimes people have called a name too much, and they've called an unwanted energy in their house or their place. Working with a name, unless you're specific and you know what you're doing, is not good. So one of the things I'll go back to, create a sacred space. You're setting the conditions to say that this is the type of vibration that I'm working with. And therefore you're setting a vibrational intention of the type of energies that you want to work with, purer and higher. It's like putting on a seat belt in a car. It's precautionary, and I've set the conditions. So if you set in the right conditions and you're sitting in an authentic way and you're letting energies come in, you're more likely to get the right type of energy that works with you under those vibrational circumstances. It's important to set the conditions.
Thank you. Absolutely. That one is really vital. I hear so many stories from people that are getting all kinds of entities and they don't even know what's going on. So that technique really can be helpful. You said you were going to take us through a journey. Do you want to do that now, or shall I ask a few more questions?
No, I can take you through a journey, because what I'm going to do in this one, as I spoke earlier, we're energetic beings. And energy presents itself in different ways. So we might see it as a squirrel, we might see it as a dragon, we might see it as different things. In this particular exercise, we are going to address it, and we're going to ask it to present itself as a color. Now, I know from a previous chat that you told me that you sometimes lack confidence. And so we're going to talk to your confidence as a color to make it more presentable for you. It's also very easy and accessible for people. They're used to seeing colors and working with it. You can develop this later on. So we'll do this little exercise. And actually, when I see into your energy and I just work around you, you've got this kind of innocence about you. You're very wise, but you're also very innocent and very trusting sometimes. And you can be let down because you're too trusting at times. Sometimes believe people too much at face value. And actually for you, I feel that a lot of your strength and your power sometimes in just being in the ordinary, you know, connecting outside, just walking outside and just really looking around, rather than being, you know, at a party with glamorous. That doesn't suit your personality so much, your nature. A lot of your inspiration and power comes from just having this clarity and quietness.
Yep.
In the
Absolutely, that's true.
And I'm just going to do a very gentle beat, but I'm going to talk you just into a very basic breathing technique. I'm going to just connect you with the light above and with the root from your spine into the ground. And then we'll go inside your body and we'll talk. And occasionally, this is a guided type of journey rather than a traditional type of journey, which you would guide somebody into the whole of the space, the cave, wherever they're going to go, and then they would journey. Or the shaman will journey with them and they will do together. In this one, I'm going to be speaking and guiding you down inside yourself. And at times I will speak to you and you will give me a response, and we'll work that way. But
so even though I'm responding, anybody watching this video is also going on the same journey, right?
So everybody can do these breathing techniques. Close your eyes, go with it. Colleen is going to work on her confidence. For everybody else, pick whatever else it is that you want to work with, whether it's your fear, you know, your anxiety, your stress. So go into your own space and you will call on that yourself. Now, this technique can be used for anything. I have a friend who's quite high up in the army. They have to do a lot of exams. He gets very stressed before the exam. I took him through this exercise a few years ago. He's got a very logical mind, but he approached it open-minded. He sat down, he did it, and he said to me, it was amazing. I went for my exam that morning and I've never approached it so calmly. And he uses it all the time. So use it for anything.
Great, okay.
So first of all, I just want you to pay attention to me, to look at me. I'm going to ask you to breathe, and I'm going to say breathe, 1, 2. So that's to the count of 3. Now breathe in slowly, because if you breathe in too much on 1, we're going to be full, and then we can't take in breath on 2. Then I want you to hold for the same count, hold 1, 2, and then I want you to release 1, 2 at the same pace. Okay, so close your eyes, breathe, 1, 2, hold, 1, 2, release, 1, 2, breathe, 1, 2, hold, 1, 2, release, 1, 2, breathe, 1, 2, hold, 1, 2, release, 1, 2, breathe, 1, 2, hold, 1, 2, release, 1, 2. I want you to imagine that there's a bright white light above your head. It's so bright that you can't open your eyes. But I want you to float up from your sitting position. Feel how light your body is. And breathing in that white light. want you to come back down to the sitting position where you are now. Allow that white light to enter through your crown chakra, coming down your face, your neck, spreading across your shoulders, down your arms, and into your fingertips, down your chest, your stomach, a white light filling your hips, thighs, shins, and your feet. And now I want you to push that white light out, so it comes out from your body surrounding you, filling up that whole room where you are into every nook and cranny. Okay, now pull that white light to within a comfortable working distance surrounding your body. And at the base of your spine is a small white root. Don't worry if you're not visual, just go with the energy. I want you to grow that finger down past the seating where you are now, past the hard flooring, down into the earth, past the boulders, the deep dark earth, the damp roots, going down past the layers, penetrating the earth deeper, 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 pushing that root down, 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 until you come to the center of the earth where the magma and the lava are. I want you to push that root in deep, spreading it like talons, really deep. Grip onto that magma and the lava. This is your original connection to the earth. Making those foundations very strong. And now I want you to draw the magma up the length of that root, coming all the way up to fill the length of your spine. Healing, cleansing energy. I want you to imagine that your small physical body is sitting on top of your crown chakra, just for like everyone else. And without thinking, I want you to drop down the central corridor, past the third eye, past the throat, and in line with the heart space. So in between your ribs. And I want you to ask your body, can we speak to the lack of confidence? And tell me if you get a yes or a no.
Yes.
Thank you. I want you in your mind to thank the lack of confidence for allowing us to speak to it. We want to ask the lack of confidence to show us itself as a color now, and tell me the first color that comes to mind.
I see yellow.
Thank you. Again, in your mind, thank the lack of confidence for showing us its color. And now I want you to ask it if it can give us a shape. Tell me whatever comes up.
It's long, rectangular, very long.
Okay. Again, I want you to thank for showing us that. And I just want you to feel how that lack of confidence feels when it presents itself in your body. And I want you to thank it for showing you, because in some ways it's trying to protect you. But I want you to let it know in your mind as an adult now, it's time to change this. That actually is holding you back. The adult colleague needs to change it. And now I want you to speak to your body and ask your body its alternatives to feeling this lack of confidence. And there will be quite a few of them, and I want you to say them as they present themselves. What is the alternative to feeling a lack of confidence?
Joy.
Yes.
What do you call it when you feel positive and courageous?
Yes. Peaceful, more calm, more fuller.
Fuller, yes.
Yes. Okay, and I want you to ask your body, can the lack of alternatives, and tell me what answer you get.
The lack of alternative?
You ask the lack of confidence if it can work with these positive alternatives. Do you get a yes? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank them. Say thank you. And I want you to imagine that you're standing inside a big gold circle. And I want you to breathe so your chest rises. And then imagine that your spiritual arms are spread wide. Feeling like you're confident, you're standing in that pose, your arms are out straight, you're smiling, and I want you to feel the confidence, a happy person. And turn very slowly 360 degrees in your circle. Just feeling this confidence, breathing in this confidence, this positive new person. And now I want you to turn and to face the lack of confidence, this yellow long object. And I want you to change its color to something very beautiful, pastel and soft. What color will you choose?
Oh, I see like a rose pink.
Beautiful. And I want you to change its shape to something very soft, loving and nurturing. What will you choose?
I choose oval.
Beautiful. I want you to blur the outlines of the oval to make it soft. And I want you to reach out your hands and to take that soft, pink, beautiful energy into your hands now. And as we invite this new way of being into us, this new energy, I want you to thank and honor the yellow energy as it disappears, as it's gone, because it served your body for a while, trying to help you. We must always honor what we let go, always work in balance. And I want you just to hold this beautiful pink, soft blurred oval and to feel its loving, confident way. I'm going to leave you in this for 30 seconds as I drop. Okay, I want you to thank your body and your mind for allowing us to speak to it. I want you to travel up the central corridor in your body, up past the throat, past the third eye, and onto your crown chakra and come out of the top of your body. And just breathing in very slowly. I want you to start to wiggle your toes and fingers. Start to come back in.
Wow. Thank you, Michelle. That was great. I really was far away.
Yes. It's surprisingly powerful. It's concise. It's short. You can do a lot with it. You know, if I was working privately with somebody, I'd expand a little bit more and keep you in that. But you can work with it at that level. And you can use it for so many different things. So this is a very good example. Now, had I not given you an image to work with the energy may have presented itself maybe as a gargoyle, a dragon, or anything else, you know, a lack of confidence, because all of these emotions are energy. Everything around us is energy, deities and whatever way they present themselves. Today we have set the conditions for how we wanted to work with the spirits, the energy, and we saw them as we wanted to see them and what was comfortable for us. It's a very good starting place.
Yes, fantastic. And I just want to point out how participatory it is in shamanism. The client, or you know, the person you're working on really has to be a part of that transformation, don't they?
Yeah, very much so, you know, and that will lead me on to just speaking a little bit about also, because I want to bring in the placebo and nocebo here. These are very important as well. You know, if somebody comes to you and they're like this and they're very close guarded and that, well, they are telling you, I'm not going to allow change in. They are not ready for change. So people, number one, have to be ready to change. Number two, people have to also be aware that there's a problem. If you're not aware there's a problem, you're not going to be able to change it. And then the other thing is people have to want the change. So a lot of people will say, I want to lose weight, I want to get fit, but actually there's no power behind it, because after 2-3 weeks, the intention isn't really solid and they stop. And so the new practice and habit doesn't become habit. So this is the same with healing. Sometimes people become very attached to their stories unconsciously, and they're not ready to quite let it go. So there's many things that come into healing. You have to be willing to let it go, have to be aware that you've got a problem, that you're ready to work with it, many different things. And then if I go into the placebo, a lot of people, we know, there's so much evidence out there, that when they start to believe that something will happen, it will happen. It's so powerful. By the same token, if you don't believe it's going to happen, the nocebo, it's equally as powerful. So you really have to understand, my thoughts are energetic processes that are creating a change on my body. And I want to just take that a stage further, because they have even more of an impact on this. A lot of our organs are related to different emotional energies. So the liver stores a lot of anger. The kidneys are known for fear. The spleen and the stomach for stress. The lungs for grief. And over time, those energies will keep going into the body, because these are the receptors waiting for that type of vibrational response. And then the body will become diseased and it will become sick. People will say, oh, I'm sick, but actually it took you a long time to get sick, to become diseased. And there are different energetic intrusions in the body. And we have to understand where they come from. So shamanically, we're always looking at the energy source. We're trying to find what the source is, rather than just treating the symptom. Otherwise, that's band-aiding. So these processes are quite deep, and we want to go in and we want to look at the energy at its creation, however it presents itself to you.
Beautiful. Thank you. We're coming to a close. We have just about 5 minutes left, and I don't want to forget that you have generously offered a gift for our viewers. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes. So what I would say to everybody who accesses me through you, through this promotion, between now and the 31st of August, that I will give 15% off of whatever type of service they come to me for. So, if it's for Cambo healing, or if it's for a shamanic healing, NLP, hypnotherapy, whatever people want to come to, that I will offer them a 15% discount.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you.
It's pretty generous. I just wanted to explain something very quickly before we go, something just for people to understand, about looking at yourselves more wholly. We are not just one facet of ourselves. We're mental, we're emotional, we're physical, we're spiritual. And, we could have a spiritual ailment, which could be pain, arthritis in the knee. If it's there long enough, it's going to go and affect us emotionally, because it starts to get us down. If it's emotionally, it's going to affect us. Maybe we become depressed. Mentally, it starts to affect us. And eventually will affect us spiritually, because we start to lose our joy, our essence. So you have to understand where you are on your medicine wheel, and really understand what you're trying to integrate in your healing. Look at your practices that you're working with, and see how to work with yourself more holistically and wholly.
Michelle, where can people find you to book an appointment and see what you're offering for the getting in touch with you? What's the best place? And I'll have that on the program website as well. But if you want to say anything now, that might be helpful.
People can get hold of me. One, you can find me on Facebook. If you just type in the word Shaman Michelle Martin, all is one word, it takes you straight to my profile page, because unfortunately Michelle Martin is quite a common name. So you won't find me just by typing that in. Then the second one is I have a page called Senseable, SENSEABEL, all one word. It's a play on sensible and having my senses being able, but able is also spirit breath. So I have a Facebook page. I also have a Facebook page, Kambosita, KAMBOSITA, and I have a website which I've just retweaking, and a new one will be released, and that will be michellemartin.com. So you can find me in a few different places. I also have a very big Facebook group called Shamanism with about 67,000 members. So if you wanted to find me, you can go in there and check admin. I have myself and my son, Ryan O'Brien, as admin, and I have a couple of moderators. You can find me many places.
Thank you. That's terrific. Yeah, you're very active on the Facebook for sure. Before we close, what else do you want to add to this conversation that we haven't covered yet?
I think, you know, by being authentic, I have to come back to this. The biggest problems that I see with people not evolving in their spiritual work is that, one, they're not being true to themselves. You know, I hear people tell me fantastical things about their guides, and I feel the energy just isn't right, but actually deluding yourself. You know, so really be honest with yourself. Where am I in my spiritual practice? What do I really want to do? The other thing is I see people running around with a scattergun approach. They're going to every single different course every weekend. You're not given the time for the medicine to settle in your body, to develop, to really get a chance to work with it. So you become a jack of no trades, really. You know, you're master of none, because there's too many different things going on. Another thing is, you know, don't become hell-bent on saying, I just want to be a shaman or I just want to be a medium. If you're not getting results, maybe that's not how your guides are working with you. So try and see what really works for you. So I'd say be authentic, really sit with a proper intention, be clear to the spirit world. What am I trying to do? So the spirits are clear. When I sit down and I do this, and practice, practice, practice.
Absolutely. Practice.
Yeah, you have to practice.
Yeah, and that's what we need to do from home rather than, like you said, this scattergun approach of taking courses or going on some exotic journey to find another shaman to work with. There's so much we need to do to practice.
Yes, and you know, shamanism has become fantastical in some ways. I have seen it change. It's become so word heavy that people
Yeah,
think it becomes this very strict philosophy. Actually, God, the guys in the jungle don't give a damn about this. Seriously, they're sitting down in a very pure way, maybe smoking some herbs or connecting with their spirits. A very simple, pure, very authentic belief. They know I'm going to this ceremony because I want this outcome. They're clear about why they're going and what they're doing, and then they give offerings. They're grateful. There's no showmanship, no big spiritual dressing. Drop all of that. You're wasting your
right,
time.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've heard many earth-based indigenous shamanic shamans and healer medicine people from around the world all agreeing that it's exploding throughout the West and throughout other modern civilization, and thank God, because so many people are really catching on to this kind of work and deeper connection to the planet, to the cosmos, to this way of working in these unseen worlds, you know, and this is a beautiful thing.
That's amazing. So it's got that fantastic side, and then it's got a slight downside. One is because the medicine isn't settled enough in people. People will go on a course and they come off and they think they're a shaman. They go to work on somebody and they open a psychosis in that person, and they don't know how to deal with them. So you got to be careful, you know, where you are with these people. Do a little bit of investigation into them. Try and find the word of mouth. Look at their testimonials, you know, because you protecting yourself. And I've seen a lot of people that come to me in vulnerable states. You know, people just want to take money from them. You know, it's not really an authentic healing that they've been into.
No,
So
no.
my whole thing is keep it real. Yeah.
But I meant like for ourselves to be practicing on for ourselves. Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
You have to avoid charlatans. That's always been in existence.
And more so than ever now, because honestly, I have never seen, as I say, in the last 8 years, our group grew from 3,500 to 67,000. There is not 67,000 shamans in there. There's a small handful. So there's a lot of people with shamanic experience or shamanic practitioners. So it's also just to understand where you are and what's in that pool that you're going into. So it's fantastic for us. Yes, we've been allowed to develop. We've got access to so much. But it's just be careful what you're accessing to grow yourself.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Michelle. It's a pleasure having you, and we really appreciate your time with us.
Thank you for asking me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen.